So I'd like to open with the question of what does the holiday of Hanukkah symbolize for you? In my eyes, yes, from your approach, it is, I would say that this is the first spiritual ascent. That indeed, as it happened in history, so it happened in the person's history. As we were under the the governance of the Greek Empire, of the Greek, which is a great klipa that doesn't let us to feel spirituality. What is a klipa? A shell. A shell is a spiritual bad force that limits our awareness and doesn't allow the person to feel the general force of nature that governs us, that directs us in our development, called Creator, Boe. The help made against force, which concealed the Creator from us, is called the Pharaoh or all kind of such names. Basically, it is our ego, which has all kind of names, right? Its general name is the evil inclination. Evil inclination meaning that I think about myself, that I'm constantly focused within me, and once I start to fight against it, and instead of constantly thinking about myself, to also think about the others, then here I begin to feel to what extent my ego is strong, and it elevates and ascend and doesn't allow me to connect with the friend, with the others, to come to consideration, connection. Moreover, coming to the love of others, as it is written, love thy friend as thyself. About that, there's nothing to talk even about. And that general force, which disturbed me from coming to it, divides into different types of forces. At time it is appearing as a foreign materialistic force called Pharaoh, and at times it appears in a foreign spiritual force called Greece, or the Greek, which were more in spiritual governance over the people of Israel. Can you elaborate a bit? What's the difference between the force, the exile of Egypt, and the exile, say, of Greece? Well, we weren't in exile, but there's exile here within the land of Israel. What does the force of Greece does, which you claim is a very strong spiritual force? The Greek didn't intervene with any of our businesses. They didn't demand of us change in our corporeal life. I wanted our spiritual life, meaning the faith, the religion, their statues. They wanted us to adopt their philosophy, for us to start praying to their gods, etc. This is basically the shell, klipa, of Greece, in what it is tougher than other klipa, because it demands nothing of the person. You can keep on living your life. This is your field, and these are your kids and house and everything. Everything remains as it was. However, what? Your spirit. And in that case, there was a very strong struggle in the nation of Israel, as we learn from history, that a big part of the nation of Israel became Greek, because it didn't disturb them. Oh, what's the problem? Anyway, they're so big, so strong. The whole topic of Alexander the Great and all the Greek Empire that conquered the world and everything, they brought to the world their paradigm, which was their philosophy, which is, in one sentence, a very plain, primitive, materialistic philosophy that we need to take into account different gods, but predominantly it was aimed against our work of the Lord. What is our work of the Lord? Our work of the Lord means that I need to come to connection, to bestow, to love of others through the connection I find in the connection between us, the special, unique force of nature called Boré, come and see, which is called the general force of love and bestowal that governs and manages the entire world. You can't draw it, you can sculpture it, you can't do anything out of it. We can only attain it within us through our inner development. As all of a sudden I start feeling it, and then I say, oh, it exists. Why does it exist? Because I turn to be as a receiver, which receive it, perceive it, like a radio receiver that receive the radio wave that exists outside of it, and then you can say, oh, that frequency, that wave exists, because now I perceive it. Accordingly, one needs to turn himself into a receiver. Into what wave? The wave of love and bestowal. So you're basically talking of ideological war. Yeah, of course, only ideological. There's a lot written about it, and indeed it's not so much a problem. Can you define precisely what is the war? What are the two ideologies facing one another, and how do they collide? What's the opposite between them? What's similar? What's alike? What's opposite? The Greeks were very materialistic. As a matter of fact, they wanted human beings to bow to their gods. And just as we read, obviously in childhood, you've read, in my childhood I also read all these stories about the gods, Greek gods, how they fight between them, and then colliding and eating one another and killing one another, what have you, like among humans in this world. Meaning the mythology, the Greek mythology. Yeah, it's very plain, very corporeal, earthy, Aphrodite, this, that. It's really something they're very plain. Also today it is so. It's pretty, the European farmers. So that's the Greek ideology. What's stand against it? The Jewish ideology? The Jewish ideology is, the fact that the Greek came to all kind of nations and wanted to govern them with their ideology, it wasn't a problem, because they didn't receive much resistance. Also, in the majority of the nation of Israel, they didn't receive much resistance, because we were in quite a low state, where we hardly led or maintain our spiritual law of love thyself as thy friend, as thyself. Hence, many Jews followed the Greek, because our ego, the ego in each and every one, nevertheless burned from within. Hence, it was very happy to have as if ideological support that goes hand in hand with the government, and doesn't disturb him in his life, and actually supports. Hence, Jews become Greek, converted. Many the rich. Here also, obviously, usually the low class is more conservative. Yeah, so the rich and the managers, so to speak, they become Greek. They took upon it, and the Greek asked for nothing but the spirit. If you accept our approach to reality, then that's it. You're like a kosher. You're like us. You're okay, and that's it. What was the Jewish ideology that was supposed to be in contra? The Jewish ideology, which you supposed to be bowing to the upper force that governed the world, and it's the only one, and there's none else but Him, and that force is the force of love and bestow, force of giving. Yeah. and giving and love. Love their friend as they self, meaning love is an absolute love, that this force exists and dwells in the entire world, the force of love. And if you want to be close to that force and worship it, then you need to resemble it. All right? So resembling the force of love and bestow, that's against our nature. Hence, it is much easier to bow to the Greek gods. So there's as if one god here that govern reality against more kind of humane forces that the gods with human qualities. Yeah, they wrote such fantasies, such a childish. But yes, this is our. As a child, I read all these stories. These are stories, legends. However, they believed in it, and they had they had their earthy fantasy was very developed in them, and they wrote entire romance about it, and the Jews accepted that, took upon it, and it was a ideological word that existed for a long time. And it was a war, a very, very harsh war. I still don't understand the essence of the war. What's collide here with what? The essence of the war is that I'm incapable to believe in gods which are like humans, that are fighting with one another, that each take a part in nature to manage it, that they live among us, that I need to bring them something kind of so that they won't get angry with me, that they're truly being within statues, that I'm bowing to these statues. It's truly, to date even we see, later on they brought in Constantinople the new religion, so to speak, in Byzantium, and which everything too is filled up with all these images, characters, which meaning a very primitive religion. But this is not what we are talking about. Rather, the Jews couldn't accept it. It was so in contra to our development that the great part of the nation of Israel, which was in that had the inner godly revelation, could not accept it. Hence came up the Maccabees, which are people who are part of the hierarchy of the nation, of the leaders, spiritual leaders, and they organized the war.